Hey guys, this is Hank Saber coming to you with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. So we got Sylvans today, and you know, one thing I've been really debating whether or not to run this deck again, because you know, all you hear about is the meta, and it's just so hard to get around Shaddolls nowadays. And you know, this deck I used to love playing, but like, people side so heavily against Shaddolls, and pretty much, you know, this is the same stuff, you know, like getting cards to grave. You know, there's a lot of macrocosmos out there, and there's a lot of dimensional fissures, and so I feel like this deck gets wrecked, but I think that my list is pretty consistent enough to run in competitively in tournaments. So before we get into the deck profile, basically I purchased this deck over the summer by my friend, and he took this deck pretty much everywhere, and I really focused myself on making it more consistent and just playing the deck the way it's supposed to be played. And I think that there really is a good balance between synchros and XZs in here. It's very fun, it's easy to play, and it's actually one of my favorite decks. So yeah, let's get into the list. So to start off with the main, we run 2 copies of Sylvan Hermitry. He's your big tree of the deck. I only play 2 because really he clogs a lot, and I don't like drawing him. I just think he's better at 2, and you run the Princess Sprouts for the level 8 to make the rank 8 Felgrand. So I think 2 is really, it's a round number, it's good, and I think this card helps you a whole lot, but I think you can still win without making Hermitry, so that's why I only run 2. I play 3 Sajakoya. He really is like the most offensive card in the deck, I guess you could say. As soon as a Sylvan card is sent to the graveyard via Excavation, Synchro, or even Mount Sylvania's effect, Sajakoya is alive, and so 3 Sajakoya is pretty much needed. Apologize for the glare if there is any. The light right above my head. We run 1 of each level 4. I see very few people playing Flower Knight, and I see almost no one playing Blade Fender, because I don't know, I guess they just don't think it helps that much to the deck. I actually really like it because first of all, Flower Knight's an 1800 stick and Blade Fender's a 1900 stick, so this deck has a lot of problems with offense at certain times, and so I think just to throw that guy out there is not that bad. You can excavate 1 with Flower Knight. You could excavate every time you destroy a monster with Blade Fender. So I think they combo really nicely, and I just think they're 2 solid cards that kind of add to the deck, and you can kind of sit on them for a little while. So I like 1 of each. We run 3 copies of Sylvan Martial Leaf, and you know, popping monsters is amazing, and the fact that you know, there are a lot of cards out there that are unaffected by card effects, yada yada. There aren't that many things that stop from popping by monster effects. And Sylvan Martial Leaf is just a great card. If you stack them on top with Sylvania or Flower Knight or any other way, you know, this guy can be really good to get you out of a certain situation, whatever that might be. So 3 Martial Leaf is pretty much needed. It's a great card. It's probably the best thing that you can excavate. So 3 Martial Leaf. Another great card to excavate is Sylvan Komushrumo. Your mushroom, I mean, this guy just set is a bomb waiting to happen. Just to tell you a really quick story from locals over the summer, I went to locals in Queens like I usually do. And I played this one guy who was running Mythic Dragon Rulers, and I lost, first of all, but I was in a very, very bad situation, and I actually came out of it with this card alone. I lost in time, but the match was so amazing, and this card is the card that almost changed the whole duel around. Basically what happened was I had this one card set, no other cards in hand, no cards on the field, just this one card set face down. The dude has 2 Felgrands. He has Big Eye. He has a Hermitry, which he took with Big Eye. He has Azure Eye's Silver Dragon. He has all these big monsters, and all I have is this one mushroom. He attacks into Como Shrumo. I excavate, I believe it was 3 Marshall Leaf, and I think like 2 Como Shrumo or something crazy like that. And I popped all of his Felgrands, and I believe, who else? I believe Big Eye. And the reason why he can't chain with Felgran is because it's during the damage step. And this is literally an amazing effect, that it's during the damage step. So cards that are, say that they're quick effects that say they're unaffected by card effects, like Felgran says, this doesn't get negated by those kind of effects because it's during the damage step. And it's just amazing. And so Sylvan Como Shrumo is literally one of the most broken cards. So I think you have to run a 3. We run 2 Princess Sprout. I was running 3 for a long time. I just felt like it kind of bricked because it was in hand way too much, and I kind of try to play as smart as I can with this deck because, I don't know, I feel like people care too much about the excavations. Like, they normal summon this, they tribute it, they excavate 1 random card, and then they have nothing on the field. It's kind of like the same science as Career Bandit. And so for that reason, I don't like drawing this card. I only like stacking it with Sylvania. And so running 3 is a bit excessive. I think you can find this card when you want with Sylvania and Flower Knight, etc. But 2 Princess Sprout is a very consistent number, and if you do draw it, fine. You'll probably send it to the graveyard via Sylvania, because Sylvania is so good in this deck. He makes your brick hands more alive, and it just gets you back in the duel. And so 2 Princess Sprout is good. It's a good, nice round number, and excavating it to make a quick Xyz is pretty good. So 2 of those. We'll run 1 Peacekeeper because Lone Fire is a thing, and 1 Shadow Sprout because Glow Up Bulb is a thing. So yeah, we run 2 Lone Fire Blossom. I think this should be bumped up to 3 in the ban list. I really don't see like why this is at 2. Like, plants aren't like meta, and they're not even close to being meta. So I think that 2 Lone Fire Blossom is fine because Soul Charge is at 1, and I don't see them bringing back Monster Reborn. So I don't see a problem with 3 Lone Fire in the ban list, but we can only run 2 for now. So 2 Lone Fire. For the one-ofs in the plants, we run 1 Dandelion because I really like excavating it and getting tokens to synchro off of 1 Glow Up Bulb because it's really, I mean, it's OP. Just excavating it, putting a card from the top of the deck to the graveyard, special this back. It's just so nice. The 1 Spore, because you can make crazy Xyz plays, not just synchro plays. You can make crazy Xyz plays with this as well. So I just really like Spore. He's a really good card, especially late game if you haven't used his effect yet. 1 Copy Plant. It's alright. Like, I might cut this card, but Copy Plant is just a great card, almost like Spore, where you can Xyz with him, copy a Hermitry, make a rank 8, or you can like copy, say, Como Shrumo and make like a weird synchro play. So I still like the 1 Copy Plant. Basically, the Trapstone of the deck, we run 3 copies of Rose Archer. Basically, even though it's not a plant, people assume this is a plant. It's actually a warrior. But I don't mind that because when you excavate it, that means that it's going to go back into your deck, which is still really good. So it's completely better than Trapstone or Wiretap or Royal Decree or anything that stops this deck. You know, anything that that prevents cards that stop this deck. And Rose Archer is so much better because you activate it in the hand and it negates. So that's really, really amazing, and it's a quick effect. So I just think Rose Archer is freaking OP as hell in this deck. You don't know how many times I've said normal summon, excavate, he chains Macrocosmos, okay, negate, and so it's just an amazing thing. So I really like the 3 Rose Archer. And then we run the 2 Kree Bandit. I'm actually going to cut this card as soon as I get, I believe I forgot what it's called, Snapdragon or something like that. Snapdragon is actually a really good card, and I'll be putting it probably in my next deck profile, but I mean, yeah, I'm running the 2 Kree Bandit for now. I had kind of a love-hate relationship with this card just because, like, yeah, it's good to excavate 5 cards, but you're tributing as a cost, and I really don't like cards that say that because, alright, now you're left yourself open for a OTK because you don't run that many traps. I run 3 traps in this deck, and so, because most of your power is off of your excavations, and so, like, I don't know. It's a bad idea to open with this and normal summon and then activate its effect because you're going to be excavating a lot of stuff like Martial Leaf and Koma Shrumo, and they're not. If you go first, they're not going to have any cards to pop. So it's really not that great of an idea to open with this, and so therefore I really don't like drawing it unless it's really late game. And so I think I'm going to cut the Kree Bandits because Soul Charge is at 1 now, and it's just really not worth excavating random things when you don't have to. So let me get this off the board. So that's a grand total of 28 monsters, and I'm probably never going to cut that number because you want to excavate as much as you can, and I bitterly hate excavating traps. So 28 monsters. For the spells, we run the 2 copies of Mount Sylvania. 3 is a little much, but 2 is perfect. You get all your stacking abilities with this card. Send the bricked Hermitries in the hand to the graveyard to top deck, I don't know, a Martial Leaf or, I don't know, something cool like maybe Princess Sprout. And so the usual thing is where you send Hermitry to the graveyard, you special the Sagicoi off that effect, then you excavate the Princess Sprout, make Aurea, or something like that. So 2 Sylvania. 3 copies of the card that lets you go So Plus. Oh, why did I put that down? 3 copies of Sylvan Charity, draw 3, reveal 2, put 2 to the top of the deck. It's literally the most broken card in this entire deck. I mean, it's so consistent. It's your basically Power Duality, but you can still special summon, so that's so much better. And it lets you stack. 3 copies of Miracle Fertilizer, because it's your Monster Reborn of the deck. And even though it can be MST'd, like, it's so OP that you can activate more than one of these a turn. And so I just find this amazing. And if you guys didn't pick up on this, you can actually summon Aurea, activate Aurea's effect, and return this card back to the hand, and then do the whole thing over again, which is amazing. I've done that a few times, and it's brought a big smile to my face each time. We are running the rank up build, so I run one rank up magic, the 7th one. I don't see why people wouldn't run this. People say it's inconsistent. I mean, it's only 1 card, and yeah, you open up with it sometimes, but it's just like maybe you can Wing Blast it or Sylvan Charity it back to the top of the deck or something like that. Or you can set it as a bluff. So it's not completely useless when you open this. So I don't know. It's too strong if you get this late game. It's just too strong, and you pretty much have to run this if you're looking to play this competitively. You have to get over Killer, and the only way you can do that is with C107. So in my eyes, you have to play this card. It's an easy summon. I don't see why people wouldn't run that card. We run the 1 creature swap because I love when you get to excavate Dandelion, summon the tokens, and creature swap the tokens, one of the tokens to their field, and get like some amazing card from them. So yeah, creature swap is really OP this format. I don't see why people aren't running creature swap this format. Like, it's too OP. And then of course the 1 soul charge. The summer was way too fun with 3 soul chargers and just like soul charging everything back all the time. So yeah, I'm a little sad it's at 1. Hopefully Monster Reborn will come back. But yeah, it's just a shame. But you know, soul charge is still good. So yeah. And the only trap of the deck I run is 3 copies of Phoenix Wing Blast, because, I don't know, it's just nice sending your opponent back in time. And I don't like excavating traps, so that's why I only run these 3. I guess I could run Vanities, but I don't know. I want to have the most optimal monster lineup I possibly can, so I feel like this is enough. And, again, if you brick anything like Hermitry, you can just send it to the graveyard with this. So Wing Blast is really amazing in the meta right now. against meta right now. I mean, so yeah. 2 copies of, for the extra deck, 2 copies of Array, the Sylvan High Tear. It is almost like Tiramisu a little bit, where you send cards. Well, it doesn't shuffle into the deck. It basically bounces to the hand. So it's like a compulsory effect. And again, like I said earlier, you can compulse your own cards. So like Miracle Fertilizer, stuff like that. So, or like Mount Sylvania. So Aurea can help on both sides of the field, which is nice. It's a great card. So 2 Aurea. I could probably bump this down to 1. I run 2 Alcé because I just have to, and it's really nice. People don't realize how good this card is. I mean, the fact that you can declare a name, and if you guess it right, add it to your hand, although if you don't, it's into the graveyard. So you can kind of manipulate that a little bit. And then the fact that it has a trigger effect, which you can also activate in your opponent's turn if you didn't know that, because basically if a card is sent to the graveyard via a card effect, you can target 1 card of the field and set it back to the hand. I don't know how that's a bad... Oh, sorry, send it to the top of the deck or bottom of the deck. So if you don't think that's a good effect, I don't think you should be running Sylvans, because this card, making this card when you have like Sylvania on the field and you know what's stacked on your deck, I mean, I just feel like this card is way too good. So 2 Alcé. Then we run 2 copies of Felgrand because you need to. We run 1 Big Eye, and for the ranked up targets, we run 107 and C107. I used to run the 101s, but I just didn't make them enough to keep on using them, so I just stick with these 2 for now. For the Synchros, Queen of Thorns is a really good card. Like, I don't see why people don't run this, because, alright, if you don't know what it does, for every time someone summons a monster other than a plant type, they have to pay 1,000 if it's from their hand, or is it extra deck? If it's from their, from their hand. Okay, so if they summon an opponent has less than 1,000 life points, you can get game with this. So like that's nice. So I like Queen of Thorns. This is a personal preference. Black Rose, Stardust, Leo, and Star Eater for the rest of the extra deck. That's 14 cards. I would run a Draco Sack. I don't have a Draco Sack, so yeah, I mean, that's really it. So anyway, guys, that's really my Sylvan deck profile. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It really is more consistent than people give it credit for. At least my build is. So, I mean, I really like it. It's surprisingly good against some of the meta. And I'm really debating whether or not to put more time and effort into this deck, because I'm kind of sick of playing Burning Abyss and Noble Knights all the time. Like, this deck is really is the most fun deck I've ever played. So, yeah, I mean, just maybe pick it up, play it on Dueling Network. If you're not familiar with the deck, I would really put some time and effort into learning this deck, because for those of you who aren't familiar with the archetype, it really is the most fun archetype around. And I just always, that's that. I want to say thanks to my friend Nick for selling me the deck for a reasonable price and showing me the ins and outs of the deck, and I've really enjoyed playing the deck. So yeah, for now, guys, this is Hank Saber signing off. Peace.